Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. I'm delighted today to be interviewing two amazing sisters. I had an opportunity once to speak at one of their events, and it was just such a lovely experience. They bring together the most interesting of people from a different variety of backgrounds, and they have a very holistic approach to business and, of course, engaging with the people that they bring together. So often than not, you will leave from their events having made some new connections and walked away feeling very, very appreciated. So, the two sisters, these beautiful, glamorous ladies, are Alexandra and Joanna. They're both very
Hello, good
different
morning.
in Hi, hi.
How
You're
are
both
you?
very, very different. Yeah, yeah, in your backgrounds, but you've also got similarities. I mean, Alexandra, you're a mind well-being coach, you're a psychologist, you're a health practitioner, you're a founder of Iconic, which is a performance and inner fire, which are basically
Uh,
your brands.
yes, indeed. I am a number of things, I suppose.
Yeah,
Uh,
absolutely. And I mean, just to give, to continue with the actual intro, I'm sort of absolutely amazed by the number of things you do. You're also a presenter on a show on UK Health Radio. You do great salsa, martial arts, and that's very, very special. You've got a huge amount of accolades to your name. And Joanna also, she's the CEO of Iconic Performance and the producer of the Inner Fire events. But interesting,
yes,
Joanna
I
also
am.
works, hi Joanna, as a makeup artist on projects for Sky, BBC, ITV, and and you work sort of within that kind of media environment. So, ladies, I'm going to ask you some questions, and I would love you both to share your experiences. How did you both decide that you wanted to work together?
Oh, it was some time ago, about 2 years ago, and everything has started. Well, I have started. I have founded Iconic Performance first as an artist management agency. So I used to actually manage a couple of musicians, and I was doing that for over a year. And in the meantime, I was also doing life coaching, and my passion always been in between musical entertainment and personal development. I was always fascinated with both the music side and the human mind, and work on development of human mind and helping people to live happier, better lives according to their needs and desires. So I was looking for the ways on some point of combining the two together. And I came up with an idea of Inner Fire, which at first it was just one show that we have put in a theater, and it was like 2 hours show combining um, like a stage performance, musical performance, dance performance with speakers and talks all about uh, that inner fire that we have inside of us, all very empowering and positive. I tested out, I loved it, people loved it, and I thought, okay, I want to do more of it. But from that, and also because I was doing a number of events with the artists, people somehow through Joanna, actually, people started asking if we can help with venues because we're doing these events, and some people were looking for venues for their own events. And Joanna came to me and she said, "Well, look, there's some people looking for venues and asking if we can help them." And then we thought, hmm, maybe we can turn this into business. That is a good opportunity,
That's
you know.
lovely. That's
So
lovely.
we've added this on. Joanna was actually, I forgot to mention, when we did the Inner Fire show, I've asked her to help me out with the production side on a day because I needed someone to help me with that. And that was her first experience. That was your first,
Yes,
right?
that was yes, I think that was my first experience and
With events in
with the
general.
events and I loved it. I mean, just like I love to be around people and organizing and have a team and no, it was great. So I got involved in that and then I also work as a host, a stage host on the International Makeup Show, which is one of the biggest show in London, and that's also sort of me kind of being organizing and looking after other makeup artists. So yes, that's how we sort of
So
started it up.
from that experience and with this request for the venues, I thought, Joanna, how about you join in the Iconic Performance and help me out with all this and see if we can work together. So that's how we started working together, which wasn't easy at the beginning. It took us another few months to actually find the right dynamic between
Yeah.
us.
Absolutely. I mean, you're
Yeah.
absolutely lovely sisters. I mean, obviously, having spoken at one of your events and seen how you mingle with people, you've definitely both got the social art, if I'd like to call it. You definitely know how to make people comfortable, and you bring a bit of fun into the whole setup as well. I mean, Joanna,
Yes.
being a makeup artist, I mean, obviously that's different from what Alexandra does, because she's dealing more with the sort of maybe mind and body and spirituality aspect. But you are dealing so interestingly with the cosmetic side of it. What inspired you primarily before you joined up with your sister to actually follow that path to doing makeup for the media or television or film?
Well, I started with the makeup because I always had a passion for painting. I used to paint when I was little, and for the arts. And so I came to London and I started studying makeup, and I've been in industry in film, TV, music for like 8 years now. And I always did enjoy to working, like I said, in people on the sets and organizing sort of like music videos, things like that. So. And I do have passion for healthy lifestyle and well-being. So I do meditation. I'm quite holistic person, spiritual myself. So still working on it a lot as well. So that's was always in me, and an aspect of fashion that lead to me well to well-being. Although it's still, like you said, beauty cosmetics, it's still sort of part of the
Hmm.
wellness and well-being. But I'm kind of for the last 2 years, I would say I started sort of discovering my spiritual side as well, and working on my holistic life. So that's what kind of inspired me more to do the our Inner Fire events. So yes,
Yeah.
that's
And when you were both growing up, I mean, did you find that you used to do a lot of things together, or is this the kind of a unity that's come later in your life?
We have been we have been best friends for about, well, ever since I finished university back in Poland, and Jana is a few years younger than me, so she finished high school, I think, at the same time, and everything prior to that, it was just, the younger sister staying with parents. I was at university, student life, different city. But after that, we've decided both to move to together. So we changed cities. It was back in Poland where we're from, and we decided both to move and live together. And it was the beginning of beautiful unity, friendship on top of just a family blood relations,
Mm.
but also friendship. So we do ever since it, which is last, well, how long? 15 years or so. Yes, we do a lot of things together. Most.
Yes, we are very very close, and sometimes people when they see us, they always say like, "Oh my God, you're like twins," and the ones who actually know us better, they always say we are so much alike. So
Yeah, that's
yeah,
beautiful. I mean, how many siblings can actually say that they work together and then they've lived together and then they share their lives? That's a very,
that's
very
true.
beautiful thing to do. Is it just two of you, or do you have other
Yes, only
siblings?
two of us.
It's still about. We're
Wow.
also very close with our parents, so a
Yeah.
family is quite small. It's not a big family, but a close one. So it feels a lot. Most of the time, it feels like it's a strong friendship. So
Yeah.
doesn't really feel like, mother, daughter, father, daughter, sister kind of um, relationship when you feel like you're obligated to do things. It's a lot of love and support and fun
Hmm.
as well. So I suppose that's how our our parents created the whole
Oh,
family.
that's beautiful. That's beautiful. They must be so proud of you and very happy that obviously they've raised two young ladies who, have really demonstrated the art of having a loving relationship with each other. Um, what sort of, let's describe some of the events that you've put on. I'll start with Alexandra and then we can speak to Joanna. Just describe some of the events that you've created or had more of the influence in creating.
Throughout my life, there was a number of them, but they all evolved. They were either showcase events for young raising talents in music, some in fashion as well. But that was like in the past up to like 2012. But after that, I focused mainly on a well-being type of events with Inner Fire as a main brand. So Inner Fire is the type of events, the one that we had pleasure to have you as a speaker. It's the type of events that we have created as a way of connecting everyone who is enthusiastic about healthy lifestyle. So mind well-being and body well-being, and in general life well-being. Connecting people, Inner Fire connects people who are practitioners with people who are professionals in the area of mind-body wellness. Brands that coming up with very interesting and often inspiring products and services. And in the past few months, actually this year was a really beautiful journey for us because we've only started Inner Fire a year ago, November last year. For the past 12 months, we evolved and we could see that connection between people that come together from variety of backgrounds and maybe slightly different ways of expressing that love for healthy living, but with the same passion for just being who they are and having green light for expressing the life that they want to live, and at the same time sharing the ways of staying healthy and happy, balanced emotionally. So that's Inner Fire Social. We call it Inner Fire Social. It's a social environment. Events happen on either Friday or Saturday evening after work, with some healthy drinks to start with. Although it's not non-alcoholic event, people are welcome to enjoy themselves the way they want in that sense. And we have a discussion panel. We invite experts in a variety of fields, everything to do with mind well-being, body well-being, fitness, health, physical health, mental health, spirituality, but not so much religion. Just want to put it out
For
there
sure.
because
Yeah.
some people, when
They
they
get
hear
confused, don't they,
spirituality,
between
they get
spirituality and religion. Yeah.
So to us, spirituality is everything to do with your energy and a connection with, call it God or call it spirit or call it whatever you want to call it, or universe. That kind of that or subconscious mind. Some psychology will call it that. So that's Inner Fire Social, and but I also work from time to time. I work on different events with other event organizers. Like for example, I now work with a charity, putting together a conference for that charity, which is part of mental health again. So one aspect of mental health.
Important.
And sometimes we help others that organize or just look for venues for their events. Pretty much everything is to do with well-being one way or another.
Beautiful. That's
But
really
the key is for us is that our baby sort of it's the Inner Fire brand, which Joanna is beautifully helping with and being in charge a lot of times.
That's brilliant. Joanna, tell me about your experience, some of your favorite events and some of the contributors that have been to the Inner Fire Social over the last year.
Well, when it comes to Inner Fire, I'm the one who's more in charge of organizing on the day, on the night, everything,
Yes.
and finding exhibitors and coach speakers as well as musicians. And then that's one of the most beautiful aspects and things, like connecting people with, giving them the platform, the opportunity to actually showcase products as well. When I'm thinking about exhibitors, so from all different platforms, whether it's beauty, health, spiritual, holistic, and any kind of business, and also looking through the music, uplifting music. We always have happy musicians who's actually sharing all those happy songs. Interesting, not everyone has happy songs sometimes, so I guess they write when they said.
Yeah.
And that's what I enjoy the most, like really, just giving this opportunity to those people, and also there's
Yeah.
a speaking partner speakers like you were one of them, is just to express themselves and just to teach others and then educate them as well, and people who are attending our events. And they give us lots of different feedbacks and very good feedbacks. That's why we do run events all the time, and then it's growing. So I'm happy with this. One of the best. Well, last was it last month? Last month we had a first anniversary of our events, and I think that was one of the best events, if not the best. It's just I could just see this connection of people. They really were connected, talking to each other, getting to know each other, and everyone sort of left like very inspiring, and so many good comments on social media and feedbacks in emails uh, saying like a big thank you. So that was really heart touching for me, and just like wow. 'Cause every event is different, but yes, I think that was one of the most sort of inspiring one for me and for
Oh,
everyone.
wonderful. Yeah, yeah. I'm
Um,
sorry I missed that one, actually. It was an
you did, but
unfortunate situation.
there will
But
be
there'll be the
more.
next
Oh
one.
yes,
The
there
second
will be.
anniversary.
Yes, could be.
There'll be more next year. You know, the beauty of Inner Fire is, and this is something I'm very, very proud of. When I came up with the idea of Inner Fire, it was like an inspiration. Almost feels to me like some kind of mission that I have in my life to do. You know, but to create to create a place. So the Inner Fire events is the kind of place where people can come to and feel that they are accepted. They don't have to put any and play any roles on or pretend that they are who they're not.
Yeah.
And everyone, the atmosphere is so much welcoming because people understand and they want to just share love and to connect with each other. And to me, that aspect of love and connection is so important in the world where there is so much fear and so much
Mm.
separation, which has created and creates all sorts of problems, including mental health problem, for example.
Yes, yes.
And it's not needed. And it's not so difficult to change it, but it requires it requires all of us to believe that we have the kind of permission and we won't be judged when we share the love and when we
Mm.
you know, do that first step um, and approach another person and say, hey, I want to connect with you. You know, I really love you for who you are. I don't judge you. And that's what Inner Fire does, with all other elements helping, obviously, with, like I mentioned before, with mental and physical health. But that connection and love, and that's what Jana said, that she saw people, and it's true, at the anniversary event, really, really connecting with each other. That was just beautiful to watch, and we just both
Mm.
realized, okay, it's working. Sometimes it takes a little bit longer for people to open up like that, but once they do, you can see that fire within. It really is a
Yeah,
fire.
absolutely. It's a progressive thing. I mean, it's a wonderful thing that you're doing because, we have turned so much towards being the virtual species, haven't we? We relate a lot through social media, online, through texting. And, I notice with the younger generation, they tend not to meet too much. And if you see them, like I see my nieces and nephews, they sit in a room, they're all together, but they're all texting on their phones. And I say, come on, guys, you're here to meet each other, not to plug into the outside world. Why don't you all talk or share? And I think that our generation, having just, we've come from the meeting part of life into this virtual kind of reality. But we've realized that it's very important to meet. So when you guys hold events like this, it's pretty priceless because people, without realizing it, they do need that human touch. They do need to be in front of another person. They need other people to be able to hug and kiss and laugh with, which you can't get necessarily, over virtual reality. What are your thoughts on this, Joanna?
Well, like that's the whole atmosphere and sort of we want to create on our events. So through socializing and just chatting to other people, they kind of everyone will sort of realize, and at some point, sooner or later, maybe in a week, maybe next day, what they really need, what they can maybe change slightly, or what's the most important for them to. So giving this sort of like a soft message to them rather than just straight to their face, like, okay, this is how you should, this is what's because nobody really knows like what's wrong, what's good, what should be done, what's not. So we just need to sort of follow um, our intuition, our inner voice, and yes, it's just sort of that soft way to so that everyone can sort of came up to the conclusion in their own time. And that's what works because people they do enjoy, they do go, and then after that, then they sort of like, oh my God, I had this idea and I had this thoughts and I never really thought about that. So it's just, it is amazing. It is really great.
Yeah, it is.
Um,
It is very important. I mean, more and more I see it. People feel lonely. They may have a million friends on Facebook, but they might not have any close people they can actually go out there and do things with. And I think that we're losing our ability to navigate through life because, having close field interaction, as you know, Alexandra, working also within the mental health field, that people, it's not so much that people need to talk about things, they just need to feel the energy of other people and to feel that they're part of this shared experience. And you know, just getting people together, even over dinner, who hardly know each other, people will sort of walk away, make their own happiness, enjoy the food, and join in the laughter and things like that. And they walk away, but it's almost like they've been recharged, and something you can't really have necessarily if you're just texting people and speaking over Skype and phone. And do you know what I mean? It's so crucial to have that field of energy that we can all be part of, yeah?
No, absolutely. It is crucial, and I think the sad thing about technology is a wonderful
Mm,
aspect of our life when it's used for what it has been created to be, for faster communication and ability to talk like we're now talking, being really physically far away from each other, but still able to connect. So that's all wonderful, but it can create this. Fake reality in a way
yes,
when
yes.
when we think that we know all about our friends because of even the actual friends because of the because we see them posting
Mm,
on social media updates from their life, but it will never replace that face to face, like you mentioned, the human interaction. And I also realized throughout my life that probably one of the best gifts, if not the best gift that anyone can give to another person, is to take time for, even if it's just 10 minutes when you meet someone, and ask them how are you, what's happening in your life, and then just listen, just like
mm.
really listen, because a lot of time we're so busy with our own lives and we have so many thoughts in our mind that we have conversations, but not really
engaging.
don't really listen. It almost feels like we're no longer interested in another person as much, even though we are, but it comes across sometimes a little bit flat. You know what I
Superficial,
mean? So
yeah, yeah, absolutely.
I
I
think that
completely agree with
listening,
you.
it's not it really is not so hard if we
Mm.
remember to do it, and it makes a whole difference, because sometimes all people want is someone to really listen to, and this feels like a connection to me. So, but yeah, so younger people, when I say young people, it reminds me, last year I went to a beautiful place in Kent University, full of students. It was even for students, and they didn't like when someone said young people. They would say, "We are people. We're not young people." So, but is it millennials? I think it's that the generation. So
Yeah, millennials. Yeah, yeah. But
young
you've
guys.
expressed that very beautifully, and you're absolutely right. If we just take time to listen, if we take time to stop and watch the roses and smell the roses, I think we are speeding through our lives. And because of that, life seems so much more pressured because we are trying to get as much on our plate as possible. And in a sense, social media is a big part to play because they have rightly said, a lot of these platforms, that people have started to feel overwhelmed and they can start feeling inadequate because they see all these other posts and they think they need to be part of the game, and if they're not in that game, then they're definitely, they're losers, or they're not going to be keeping up pace. But the moment you switch off and you just start meeting people, you realize that there is a pace of life that's about quality. It's not about quantity, is it? And both of you holding events like that, it's a very sacred thing because you're holding space for people to share. And as you rightly said, to listen, which you can't always do when you're on the move and you're talking on the phone with a million of other things going on. When you're there in person, you use all your senses, even your intuition and your gut feeling, and you're very present. You can't go anywhere else except be there, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. And what sort of challenges do you think that you've both experienced in the last during the course of these wonderful projects that you've done? Have you experienced any particular challenges that you'd like to share with us, and how you actually overcame them?
Yeah, so there's a few challenges. Is the the events, working with events, it's always a challenge. There's the kind of area, I think, of work that surprises you always constantly. You just have to be ready for another challenge to
Yeah.
show up. But at the beginning, the challenge obviously was to attract people to these events, because we, well, like, not many people knew about this. And I remember first event we had 28 people, and probably like 25 of them were friends, so people and family, people who knew
Yeah.
us, thank you all, because you made this beautiful start, helped us. And after that, it was the type. I think the bigger challenge for us was promoting it and spreading word out. And right now there's a lot of people talking about Inner Fire and inviting their friends, but at the beginning it wasn't really happening that much. So that was one challenge. Then another challenges, because it was the Inner Fire was developing organically. We were also trying to find the ways that people, the type of program that people will like. So, for
Yes.
instance, to put together speakers, or the theme. At the beginning, we started with just one speaker at the evening, and then we switched to discussion panel. So we tested out. It's proven to be working better. It's
Yes.
more interaction. So to figure out the right balance of the program, it's the some of the talks at the beginning were too long. Like, people would say that it's a little bit too long. Um, So a few things like that, to find the right venue as well, to figure out whether Friday or Saturday is better. Half of the people say, "Can you do it on Saturday?" Others will say, "No, we prefer Friday."
Yeah.
Things like this. So the way we overcame these challenges and still overcoming them, we obviously try to always think outside of the box. And I have this attitude that there's um, no issue that cannot be solved. There is no challenge that we cannot overcome. So there's always solution for everything.
Orientated, yeah.
You just need to keep on looking, um, be sometimes creative and think out of the box. But also what I have learned, ask people for their help. It's a beautiful tool. And I personally had a lot of problem in the past with that because I think I was brought up as an older sister and always the one that had to find a way, be kind of like a leader. So I always had a problem with asking other people for, can you help me?
Yes.
But I overcame this, and with the Inner Fire specifically, we ask people for feedbacks, for their opinions, and if we struggle with something, then we ask, can you help, or what do you think? And this way,
Sure.
we developed it.
Beautiful.
Yes.
And Joanna.
Exactly. I just wanted to add, listening to people. This is very, very important. Like we were talking about just like 5 minutes ago. We do ask people and all the attendees like what they like, what they don't like, what would they prefer much better, and also to have this kind of good relationship and connection with them. So on daily basis, even especially those who regular. I guess who are coming to our events and who are actually knowing us better. So just trying to get to know them better. I feel like we are friends, sort of, and that's the most. I wouldn't say it's challenging, but it's something which needs to which is working, and that's what is very important to have. And doing an event, yes, that is it is challenging because there's always something which is unplanned and happening. So on the night, or the night before, an hour before. So that's the beauty of events, working on organizing an event.
Beautiful. I mean, absolutely. Everything is, it requires dedication and things can always happen at the last minute. But are there any major challenges that either of you faced in your lives, do you think, that, aside from the actual project and the company that you formed, on a personal level that you've kind of overcome and you'd like to share about at all?
Major challenges on personal level. Well, one of them I just shared. It was the asking for help.
Yes.
Or having this attitude that I can do everything myself. I can sort everything out. I have to do everything myself. Where I have my low points in life, I can find a way up myself. And it can be a very lonely place, and I did a very stressful place as well. And I've been there. I've been those places, and so I have learned that it's although it can be very scary, and sometimes you don't want to share your problems with other people, but it's probably better to put it aside because people really want to help, and sometimes they can, but they don't know unless you tell them that this is your situation and you're looking for some help. So I'm still learning. I'm still overcoming. It's not totally something that I solved yet, but it's just a work in progress. But that's my
main area,
my personal challenge.
Yeah.
Other than, well, there are small things, in terms of communication with people. Recently, I had earlier this month, in the last 4 weeks, because of personal circumstances, some negative things that happened in life of my friend and then my family. My mother was going through a major operation, and there's a lot of very tense, stressful situations, emotional situations that, on one hand, were very created a lot of stress, like I said, and emotions. But it was good to have because it showed me clarity in terms of what kind of friendship is important for me and what who is a friend in my life and whom I want to be friend for. So this is me. I always look at things from the angle of experience and potential learning. So even if there is a challenge, I see it as a situation, and I see it, and I also take responsibility for it. And even though if it doesn't look like I have created it, I know that at some level I have made myself being in this situation. So on that spiritual level or subconscious level.
Yeah.
So, and this is for some kind of reason, and the reason usually is that I probably needed to experience something to either understand or to perhaps learn a skill or two. So that's how I look at things.
Beautiful.
And
Yeah,
when
absolutely.
when I do that, the challenges, they don't really feel like challenges. They feel like experiences, just another situation.
I always kind of see them as a gift. I always say that any challenge in life is a gift, and it's staring in your face. You just have to unwrap the covers and you'll see that gift, within it. And always that gift is about expansion and changing our mindset and losing our judgment. I always think experiences happen so that we break our preset conditioning ultimately, and we become more open, accepting, and definitely less judgmental. And I think, challenges in life make us a lot more humble, make us more open, open to receiving as well. Because, we like to think we can do everything ourselves. But, in my perception, there's a greater reality that we are co-creating with. And we just have to be open to receive. And we'll find that, synchronicities happen and all the right people materialize at the right time when we need them. It's just about, having that sense of connectivity, and also to be humble enough to know that we don't need to do everything alone. We are being supported by, obviously visible and behind the scenes invisible forces, and which brings me on, to a question of, obviously you're doing this in London now. Do you have plans to expand internationally?
Absolutely, yes, we do. And another challenge, indeed, because I have always tendency, and I like to think big, and I would like to speed everything up, but sometimes you just have to take smaller steps. So at the moment we're doing events in London, but our plan is there's two aspects of it. We, by all means, we want to become global eventually, but so we would like to do Inner Fire the social, these are the smaller events, and as the name says, it's social gathering. Our plan is to put together Inner Fire show, which is what I did in 2013 to test out the whole idea of Inner Fire. The show would be, it will be a 2 hours show put in a theater on a stage where people will come sit probably in a cabaret style, sitting maybe with some food and watch 2 hours program combination of talks, musical entertainment, dance entertainment, some audio entertainment, everything very much uplifting with the kind of information that after 2 hours will leave you empowered and feel that you can fly and feel that it's good to be yourself. So this is the Inner Fire show is something that we want to create on an annual basis, starting with English-speaking countries, most likely. So we're thinking definitely London because it's the base, but we're also thinking about United States, Los Angeles. It will be the next stop, and then eventually we'll move probably also to New York. And I also would like to go with this to Australia, to Sydney, because I know people over there are also very much interested in anything to do with mind well-being and body well-being and personal development. So that's that. We
and of course, eventually we open for if even the smaller events, if under our name, Inner Fire. If someone would like to carry on the smaller events, for example, in different places in UK, yes, that's also an opportunity to grow. So under our name, but yes, definitely internationally, and it needs to, it will be global change.
I love it. I love it. Tell me,
We want to
sorry.
we want to create, like I like when you said global change, because we would like eventually Inner Fire um, to become like one organization almost, where people that is connecting everyone that wants to develop their life to make a lifestyle that is centered around healthy mind, healthy body, healthy living, and
Yes.
where we put ourselves in the center,
Mm-hmm.
and not in a selfish way, by the way, because a lot of people think that, oh, if I put myself in center, this is very selfish. But you can't really share love, or you can't really support others when something is wrong with you, when you're unhealthy, or you're depressed, or you just or your finances are going down the hill. It's very
Yes.
difficult to support, to do anything good for others. So
Yeah.
it always starts with yourself. Yes, we're here to
Absolutely.
create, not just experience. So when we think about creating, that's when comes down to looking into our inner and finding the inner fire, and just to realizing what we want to change, what we would like to do it. So it's that way through creation, and then we experience, and other people can experience. And that's
Beautiful.
kind of like a circle.
Beautiful. Wonderful. What I wanted to say is I would like to know a few little unusual things about you both, just to add to the personalities. What's your favorite food, both of you?
Mediterranean. We will be similar in that sense.
Yes.
I think in general Mediterranean, yes, and I think anything Mediterranean. So
Yeah.
Spanish food, like Spanish paella, for example.
Yeah.
Moroccan, I really like
Greek,
Moroccan,
yeah.
Greek food.
Mm-hmm.
Mediterranean lifestyle as well.
Brilliant. And what are your favorite colors? Because that, tells me a lot about you as well. What Alexandra, what's your favorite color?
It's still blue, but this is an interesting one. For majority of my life, I was 100% certain it's blue. And then recently, for past few years, I also started liking red a lot.
Interesting.
So they almost equal now, but blue, I think, is still
Your predominant one, yeah. And what
uh,
what about you, Joanna?
I have to say I do like blue, but recently I've noticed, actually this is unconsciously, I haven't realized before. I kind of have so many purple things and clothes, and even when I buy something, so I think that might be something I do like as well. So, but
Yeah, it's interesting
yeah,
because
blue
I,
was
I
also.
found that in my life as well. You tend to subconsciously pick colors in clothes that you want to resonate, and perhaps that's working on that particular chakra, maybe, which is why we subconsciously
Yes,
choose it.
perhaps
Yeah.
yes.
I mean, obviously, blue is for the throat chakra, purple, I mean, red is for the lower chakra, all to do with money and creation and things like that. And purple is really, working with the let's say the inner eye, yeah, or the third eye. So it's interesting where we focus our energies even unconsciously, isn't it?
It
Oh
is.
yes,
It,
exactly.
it is absolutely. And the colors are beautiful, but I really admire, I must say, I do admire people. There are some people that are dressed in such a colorful way. They never have any gray or black clothes. I know a few people like that. Every time you see them, it's just colors. It's full
Yeah.
of beautiful colors. And I just look at it, it's like, wow, it's really more of that. So no, colors. It's interesting how we pick
Express ourselves,
colors
yeah,
in our lives.
in our life, yeah, very, very key. And tell me about any personal plan. I mean, aside from obviously Inner Fire, Iconic, and your global takeover, what personal things would you like to do in your life? If I could ask you maybe three things that you'd like to achieve in your life that are sort of separate from the business, what would they be?
Okay, the number first personal thing is
for me to achieve the 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 kind of relationship, the partner relationship that is based on I can't live without you type of love. I suppose I am very romantic in that sense, and maybe even old-fashioned, some call me. But yes, this is something that I'm yet to find, and I really want to find. I feel I'm close to it. It's just on my energy level, sense that, but it hasn't yet manifested. So that would be number one. Another thing in my personal life, I always appreciated the seaside and the coast and the type of scenery where it's very sunny and warm most of the year. So for me to have a house and live in that type of environment is something I want to manifest in my life in the next few years. And then, but I don't think I would like to leave London completely. So I am ready to do quite a bit of traveling in between London and somewhere else. So that would be another personal thing. And the third one, the third one, it's it's some kind of commitment that I recently decided. Like you have this type of dreams or things you want to do in your life, like,
Yeah.
but somehow you haven't done them. Like one of them, for example, is kickboxing. This is something I've started 2 years ago. It was in me since I was like 10 years old, and eventually I decided, okay, let's just start the things that I once thought I would enjoy. So I started, I'm doing it, and I want to continue. I really like it. But there are more things like that. Another thing I wanted always to do and haven't done it yet is to learn piano, playing piano, and that's another thing I want to do, or do parachute jumping. A few things
Wonderful.
like that are perhaps more adventures, or some are more adventures. Some are just my soul seems to be calling to learn certain things or try, and I want to do that. So there's a few things, but definitely piano, parachute jumping, some places to travel to, which
Brilliant.
I haven't seen yet.
And
Well,
Alexandra can go on and on.
Yes, and I need to.
It's
You
more
have
than free.
and Joanna, what do
It's actually funny because it's mine is you see it's quite similar. Well, I definitely that will involve work, traveling and sort of working between different places and countries, and I'm sure I'll be fine with this. And yes, and live, have a house and live on the seaside or ocean or definitely in a warm country. That's on my number, well, not number
Beautiful.
one, but yes, it's very very important, and hopefully it is will happen soon. So, and the second, um, well, I do really focusing on. We just were talking about love, but I actually really myself sort of like um, I don't want to say like very selfish or even loving myself, but of course it's not selfish. We all need to love ourselves and accept. But it's just through this, I just still need to develop my spiritual side because I have so much to do, and sometimes I feel like I might have like a sixth sense. What things happen to me in life is just scary sometimes when I think, and it's just happening. Bad or good, so we have to be careful.
She's like a magician. She says one thing and it just happens.
Yes,
I
sometimes
love
I
it.
just wish for and then wow. So and that's something I do know I have that potential, and I just need to sort of focus more and discover more.
Yeah.
Um, um, uh, um, yes, well,
Hmm.
definitely more adventure, sort of different sports as well, and that's I would like to do as well. Yeah.
Wonderful, wonderful. Oh,
So yeah.
ladies, I can talk to you for hours. You're such lovely women, and I'm looking forward to meeting you in person to have a New Year's celebration with you. But it's been a great delight to have you on the show and to sort of share about your passion and all your plans for expanding your very, very special project. And I hope
Thank
that,
you.
yeah.
It was it's such a pleasure talking to you as well. You make it all very relaxed and easy and
Oh
a
yes, it is.
pleasure as well. So I could also talk to you for another few hours also.
We'll do that in
It was a lot of
person.
fun.
Yeah. And let us know, before we end the show, where can people find you? Give us the website address that they can kind of click onto and that I can, of course, add when I do the social media.
To follow, probably the best website to follow the Inner Fire is innerfireshows.com. So this is where you can see all the updates about the events, what the events are about, what Inner Fire is about, and what's coming up next year.
Brilliant. And do you have any sort of other social media handles like Twitter where people can follow you?
Yes. So if you go to any social media like Facebook, so we have Facebook, Twitter, well, not so much LinkedIn, but mainly Instagram as well.
Yeah.
Just type Inner Fire or Inner Fire Shows, and you
And it
can
will come up.
just.
Oh, bless you. Well, look, have an amazing Christmas, and I do hope that the new year will bring you everything that you wish for, and that will speed up the manifestation of some of these extracurricular things and bring you a lot of
It
love
definitely
and
will.
success and money and everything.
Thank you. Also like to wish you and all your listeners, everyone who's listening to us, a happy Christmas, Merry Christmas. Find your inner fire in you, and that's the love, that's the flame that is connected with love, and just let it shine. And may the love and the the magic of Christmas fill up your hearts, your minds, your houses, your homes. So love for everyone. Merry Christmas.
Yes, spread the love, spread the pleasure, joy, and just yes, don't forget to keep smiling.
Oh, lovely. Thank you, ladies. Much love and a big hug
Thank
to you
you.
both. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
Bye bye.
Bye.